We start this title off with a close-up of Darkseid's eyes. Kroom! The voiceover talks about being told that monsters were make-believe, but the narrator has seen too many monsters in his day to know that they are real. Kroom! The narrator describes the sound as being like thunder. DCeased, going viral. Writer Tom Taylor. Artists Trevor Harside and Stefano Cardillo. The sound of thunder was Superman breaking the jaw of a god. Darkseid, the big bad of the DC universe, had indeed invaded planet Earth, but after a time was repelled by the Justice League and other DC heroes. It was described as being the Justice League's finest hour. Superman tells Darkseid to leave Earth. Batman and Wonder Woman reiterate the sentiment, even going so far as binding Darkseid with the lasso of truth. They want him to swear he'll never come back. Darkseid says no problem, he's gotten what he's come for. Oliver Queen makes a quip about feeling good about how this went. Well, until the last comment from Darkseid. Black Canary asked if anybody knows what that was about. Batman was the first to notice that Cyborg had gone missing, and even says he's not in Metropolis, or on this planet for that matter. This understandably brings up the issue of how would Batman know this? Batman calmly explains that Cyborg is a living weapon made from apocalyptic tech that is barely understood. It would be irresponsible not to LoJack him. The members of the Justice League are concerned about Batman tracking the members. Of course, we all know from Batman's past that not only can he track the members, but he also has contingency plans for if any of them go bad. But alas, Batman clues him in on the fact that Cyborg is not in the solar system. And he knows this because he has a 2 light-year range on his tracking device. Now we're on Apocalypse, and the narration indicates Darkseid really couldn't care less about invading Earth. I think this part is being narrated by DCeased, since we see him next, holding a big-ass spike in his hand. He's nailing down Cyborg, which is pretty hardcore, and low-tech when you think about it. DCeased brings up the anti-life equation to Cyborg. DCeased explains the anti-life equation removes the free will of the people. Cyborg quips and says he's not kink-shaming anyone. Cyborg also questions if Darkseid is so powerful, why does he need constant reassurance? DCeased only says that Darkseid possesses half of the anti-life equation, and on Earth, he found the other half. The other half is in Cyborg. Cyborg again quips about wanting to make a grand entrance. Darkseid takes the very reasonable action of having DCeased remove Cyborg's tongue. Stop it, kitty! Star! Knock it off! DCeased brings up that the Mother Box will merge Darkseid's half with Cyborg's systems. The issue is that Cyborg essentially possesses a digital copy of the anti-life equation. Also, Cyborg is basically the operating system of the digital copy, and thus can't die, or both halves will be lost. Darkseid decides to summon Death. Death is a tricky thing in the DC universe. I personally think of Death as the one from the Endless, but this is the Black Racer. Now, I haven't read all of the New Gods saga, but I don't believe the Racer is subject to Darkseid, but I'm not sure. Regardless, Darkseid pretty much grabs the Racer by the throat and forces him to do his bidding. Also, it looks like DCeased wants to take off the Racer's arm with a jackhammer. Somehow, by using a piece of death, it changes the equation. This ends up complicating the plans as the anti-life equation corrupts the new god Darkseid. DCeased is immune and sends the source of the infection away, aka Cyborg. But it's too late. The equation Darkseid sought for eons has made a slave of him. Darkseid leaps into a fire pit of apocalypse. These pits directly lead to the core of the planet. The narration suggests now it has been unleashed. This results in Apocalypse, which exists in a higher dimension, is destroyed by Darkseid's actions. DCeased sends Cyborg back to where he came from, Metropolis. Cyborg, whose systems do a lot of things automatically, starts broadcasting the anti-life equation everywhere. Cyborg tries to firewall himself off, but of course it's too late. The nearby devices have been infected, and so will the people, not in small part due to social media. Like with Darkseid, you see the first people infected try to dig into their skulls to rip out the equation. Now we're back with Superman and a couple of Justice League adjacent members, Scott Free and Big Barda. For those who don't know, these two characters, along with Darkseid, are the creations of Jack Kirby for the New Gods. A slight history lesson. Apocalypse and New Genesis were locked in a long conflict. A treaty was put into effect where Darkseid of Apocalypse and the Highfather of New Genesis exchanged sons to ensure a treaty peace. The Highfather raised Darkseid's son, Orion, as his own with love and compassion. Darkseid, on the other hand, let's just say, not so great. He put the Highfather's son scot-free in the care of Granny Goodness. And trust me, she is much more sinister than that name suggests. Scott eventually fell in love with the best of Granny Goodness's Furies, the elite fighting force of Apocalypse, Big Barda, and they escape and find refuge on Earth. Now that that's out of the way, Superman, Scott, and Barda are planning the rescue of Cyborg, who they still believe is on Apocalypse. Superman hears screaming and flies out to investigate. What Superman finds is something out of the stuff in nightmares, and he instantly thinks of his wife and son. Lois, John, and Damian Wayne are just chilling in the Kent's apartment, trying to help Lois find her phone. John uses his X-ray vision and is about to answer it. Luckily, the big blue Boy Scout arrives just in the nick of time and destroys the phone with his laser eyes. I know it's heat vision, but I like laser eyes. We're at the Batcave now, as Batman seems to be well aware of what's going on. His massive surveillance system is now non-functioning, so he tries to switch to a redundant analog system. Bats is running projections, factoring in electronics and blood-to-blood contact. The Bat computer analyzes things and tells Batman that 600 million people have been infected thus far. Lois and Clark are trying to figure out the best course of action. Superman wants to assemble what's left of the Justice League. Damian is trying to contact his father with a crude but normally effective radio signal. They all agree that Batman is probably going to be okay, due to his paranoia and lack of social media. Batman is trying to find his loved ones, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Alfred Pennyworth. He locates Alfred but discovers that Dick, who he raised as a son, has been infected. Yeah, Tim Drake is infected as well. Batman does his best to try to save them, but it's definitely not going well. It looks like Tim bites Bruce. Batman tells Alfred to run. The narration suggests that the narrator wishes he could tell his child that monsters don't exist. But unfortunately, the narrator knows better. There are monsters in all of us. So viewers, what do you think about this so far? I gotta admit, I really like this title. The artwork can be a little bit hit and miss sometimes, but the story is pretty sound. Plus, I'm a sucker for doomsday, superhero type of things. That's why I loved the Injustice series. It's like one of my favorites. Anyway, I think I'll keep going with this. Fare thee well, my friends, and take care.